Happy Monday. We are live. We are blessed. Thank God for another day. Matt Garland here, NMLS number 58700, but better known as MG the Mortgage Guy. We are live. We are blessed. Thank God for another day. So we're talking about this Navy Federal um, rejecting or declining 50% of their black borrowers for conventional loans today. But first, welcome to the channel if you're new here. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications because you never know when I'm going to go live. And then also go to mgbookstore.com, get the latest and greatest books by yours truly, which it's currently on a buy one, get one free right now. So if you haven't taken advantage of the BOGO sale, make sure you go ahead and take advantage ASAP because once this sale ends, it's over. We're not doing buy one, get one free for a very long time. The sale goes on until December 31st, 2023. I almost forgot the year we in. So buy one, get one free. Go ahead and get it and go get it right now. All right. Yeah, let's talk about it, man. Drop some gems in the comments for me, please. If you are a realtor, as always, I want you to comment full name, what market you service, and if you are interested in working with me and my team, put that in that comment as well. Don't worry, I've been seeing your comments. I'm creating a form and a calendar specifically for you guys, you realtors on YouTube that have been tapping in with me that want to work with me in 2024. So put it there. I'm going to go back to these past couple videos, probably the next day or so, and start sending y'all a link. All right. So tap in with that. All right. And if you're new here, type new in the chat so I can see who you are. And if you're a regular, thank you for always supporting me. Shout out to Tanisha. You know, she put go grab MG's books in the comments. You already know the vibe right there. And anyone here, I put up a post today on my Instagram and also on here on YouTube's asking if anyone in my audience has had any experience with Navy Federal getting declined, good, bad, or ugly, whatever the case may be, because there's been a lot of comments. A lot of comments. When this article came out, I posted it on my Instagram, and I think it's like almost 2,000 comments, 1,500 comments, somewhere around there. I don't know. And it's been a lot of comments, good, bad, and ugly. It's a lot of fucking stupid comments too, man. Some of y'all are just so ignorant and say some of the dumbest things, especially when we're talking about black and housing. A lot of y'all just say a lot of stupid things, man. But we're going to address that too, because I'm going to get some shit off my chest today. All right. And shout out to D-Rod. D-Rod is new. Shout out to We Love Exploring. You're new to the channel. Shout out to all of y'all. So let's get into this, right? So if you don't know, if you're new, if you haven't heard about this story, it came out last week. Let me get the article that came out. Hold on. Let me find that category. Let me find that. Where's that article at? You know what? I'm gonna just take you guys to this. Let me just take you to this. Let's get busy. Let's go right here. Let me know if you can see my screen loud and clear. Type yes in chat if you can see my screen and if you can hear me clearly. Let me go on my YouTube right now also, so I can make sure I can see it on my own as well. Okay. So it's looking good on my end. We got about 150 people in here live. Shout out to all of y'all. So this article came out today or 8-9 hours ago. This is from the Washington Business Journal, and they're saying that Navy Federal was pushing back on a CNN investigation that found it approves far more home loans to white borrowers than it does black and Latino applicants, arguing that the news agency's conclusion was rooted in an incomplete analysis of federal home loan data. CNN found that in 2022, Navy Federal, the world's largest credit union, approved 48% of loan applicants from black borrowers and 56% from Latino borrowers, compared to a 77% approval rate for white applicants. The 29 percentage point gap in approvals between white and black borrowers was the widest among the 50 largest lenders in the U.S. last year. All right, CNN reported on December 14th, citing an analysis of the HMDA, Home Mortgage Disclosure Act data compiled by the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Let's read more of this. Navy Federal is disputing the report, claiming it failed to take into account criteria lenders are required to consider when evaluating mortgage applications, such as credit score, available cash deposits, and a borrower's relationship with a lender. Now, let me stop you right here, Navy Federal. A borrower's relationship with the lender. First of all, now, credit unions, let me say this. Credit unions are different types of animals, right? They have members. They want you to be a member if they want to do business with you, right? When you're going to a regular bank, you don't have to have a quote unquote relationship with that bank to get a mortgage. So this, my friends, if they're saying available cash deposits and a borrower's relationship with the lender, this, my friends, is what we call in our industry is they might have some sort of overlays. Overlays meaning you're putting guidelines on top of the conventional guidelines. Now, mind you, Navy Federal is more known for doing loans for service members, right, with VA loans, not conventional mortgages. Okay, so let's put that out there too. But and with this reporting by CNN is for conventional mortgages, not VA loans. But the borrower's relationship with the lender. So we're gonna keep going. I just want y'all to keep that in your head right now. In a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, Navy Federal said it proudly provides a higher percentage of mortgage loans to Black applicants than the vast majority of the 50 largest lenders. Our members put their faith in us to do right by them financially, Navy Federal said in a post. We stand by the promises that we are abiding by all fair lending practices. The CNN report backed up Navy Federal's claim that it makes more loans to Black borrowers than most of the majority lenders. Nearly 1/5 of conventional loans it originated in 2022 went to Black applicants. Nearly 1/5 of conventional loans it originated in 2022 went to Black applicants, CNN found. I had to repeat that. CNN also said its analysis does not prove that Navy Federal discriminated against any borrowers, only that it rejects applications from Black applicants at a far higher rate than any other lenders. Even Black applicants with incomes above $140,000 annually were rejected at a slightly higher rates than white applicants with household incomes below $62,000, according to CNN's analysis. It's a lot. Let me stop right here. You see, all of this stuff is so vague to me. And if you're a loan officer, MLO, you're doing business, please feel free to chime in because you're probably going to understand what I'm saying. You see, when it says here, even Black applicants with incomes above $140,000 annually were rejected at slightly higher rates than white applicants with household incomes below $62,000. You see, I automatically in my loan officer, see, if I'm not in the business and I'm reading this, I'm looking at, oh my God, how can a Black person making over $140,000 get declined when a white person making less than $62,000 gets approved? But these numbers is all relative, depending on where the property is, the cost of the property taxes, insurance, if it has flood insurance. Like, there's so much we don't know. like there's so much we don't know. So I hate when I see these type of reports and stuff like this because you're not really breaking down, like, everybody's situation is different when you're talking about home loans. So we really don't know what the situation was with the folks who was making $140,000 versus the people who were making $62,000. Were these people buying in Milwaukee or Detroit where the houses are $50,000? Like, I don't know. Or were the people who were making $140,000 were buying in New York trying to get $1 million house, but had high DTIs and student loans and all this other stuff? Like, I don't know. So this is why I hate when these type of things come out, because you really don't know. You really don't know. Now, mind you guys, I'm not defending no bank here. I just want to be clear with this. I should have said this from the beginning. So here's my disclaimer. You know what? Let me put me back on the screen so you guys can see my face. Forget this article right now. I should have put this in the beginning. Here's my disclaimer. I don't give a damn about none of these banks. I'm just here to give you my opinion. I'm not here promoting Navy Federal. I'm not here defending Navy Federal or any banks that's declining black applicants at a higher rate. That is not me. I work in this business. I see things firsthand. I have more knowledge than people who are probably going to watch this about the lending process and underwriting. So I have to look at both sides of the coin and kind of play devil advocate here, because this is what I do on a daily basis for the past 20 years. So when I'm giving you my opinion, please understand I'm giving you an opinion from someone who looks at loan applications and look at credit profiles for a living. So I'm going to look at things probably a little bit different than you, and I'm not going to be quick to just say, yo, everything is racist. Well, I do believe there's a lot of racism and discrimination in the real estate mortgage industry, hands down. There's no denying that. And I do think a lot of these banks still redline, discriminate, etc., hands down. But let's get back to this article, okay? Let me get back to the shit. I had to put my disclaimer out there because I know how y'all do in the comments, right? I know how you folks do in the comments. So I got to protect myself because I don't feel like going back and forth with you Negroes today. Thank you very much. All right, let's get back to this. Overall, the report said that black applicants at Navy Federal were more than twice as likely to be denied loans than white applicants, or Latino applicants were roughly 85% likely to be denied. Navy Federal has more than 13 million members globally and about 165 million in assets. Though initially established as service members of Navy and Marines and their families, have expanded to fill the membership in recent years to include all active and retired personnel across all branches. Okay, so that was that article there. Now, look, man. Do I want to go to this one? Let's see. Now, here's the original report by CNN. Right, for those of you who haven't read the report or this article that they put out, let me put this in the chat right now so you guys can go ahead and just read this on your own if you haven't already. I'm not going to go into this whole thing right now because I just want to give my opinion and get the hell out of Dodge, right? So let me put this in the chat. So if you haven't had read the CNN report, I just put the link in the chat. Now, what I do want to do is, you know what? Let me do this. Because CNN interviewed this gentleman right here. I think we should watch this video. Let's watch this video. Let's see what he has to say, and then let's go into this. My opinion. Let's play this. Damn commercials, y'all. I thought I had premium on this thing. Why I got commercials for? Come on, B.
But it really is a nice neighborhood, you know.
Baba Tandi, a Kenyan immigrant turned Texas entrepreneur, knew this was his dream home the moment he saw it. It's in a highly sought-after school district that his son so desperately wanted to attend for its basketball program.
So how many homes did you look at before you found this one and said this was it?
We had about 6, but this was the one that we all wanted, and we were all praying to get this one.
Otandi's first choice for his mortgage was Navy Federal Credit Union. It services military members, defense personnel, veterans, and their families, and is the largest credit union in the country.
I was the CEO of my company, so I had a pretty good income.
Your credit was in the 700s. You'd recently sold your house. You had $100,000 for the down payment, which was more than 20%.
Correct. I mean, what more could you ask for?
CNN reviewed Otandi's financial documents. He even had a pre-approval letter from Navy Federal in hand. But just 2 weeks before closing,
I got a denial. They sent me a letter saying, "We're sorry, but your application has been denied."
Were you stunned, surprised?
I mean, I was stunned. I was shocked. I was hurt.
the denial letter listed excessive obligations in relation to income as the reason.
When they denied is when we came back and said, oh man, There's something else going on.
And what did you think that something else was?
Discrimination.
But it wasn't just Atandi. Thousands of other black applicants were also rejected. According to a CNN analysis of federal consumer protection data, last year, Navy Federal Credit Union only approved 48%. That's less than half of its black applicants for conventional home mortgages. White borrowers were approved more than 75% of the time. It's the biggest gap among the top 50 lenders. The data also shows Navy Federal was more than twice as likely to deny black mortgage applicants than white ones, even when different variables, including income, debt, property value, and down payment percentage, were the same.
I feel validated at one point, but also I feel a bit of anger because it shouldn't be happening.
2 weeks after Navy Federal rejected him, another bank approved Atandi for a mortgage. Navy Federal Credit Union denied CNN's request for an on-camera interview. In a statement, it said it is committed to equal and equitable lending practices and that CNN's recent analysis does not account for major criteria required by any financial institution to approve a mortgage loan. That includes credit scores, which are not public. Navy Federal declined to provide additional data. We asked Navy Federal why Bob Otandi's loan was denied, but they declined to comment, citing member privacy. CNN's analysis does not prove discrimination, but it does show dramatic racial disparities in who Navy Federal rejects and approves for conventional mortgage loans.
The black-white homeownership gap and the Latino-white homeownership gap today are both wider than they were in 1968 when we passed the Federal Fair Housing Act.
Agreed.
Lisa Rice has spent decades as a fair housing advocate. She says the disparities in Navy Federal's lending data are alarming and an extreme example of a bigger problem.
It's definitely a larger systemic issue. And we know that we have a long history of redlining and a long history of lending discrimination in this nation. Well, all of that data that is sort of tainted with bias is being used to develop the credit scoring systems.
We got the house, thank God, and we moved on. But what about the ones who are denied? What about the ones who now can't get their own dream house? It's something that's going to affect the generation all the way down to their kids.
Well, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which oversees consumer lending, says that they do not comment on specific institutions, but they do conduct their own investigations to ensure that banks and credit unions are following fair lending practices. Jake.
Okay. So that was a report. Like I said, I put the link in the comments already. I read to you the update that Navy Federal says. Let me give you a little bit of my opinion. This might be a little bit of a long live. But I'm going to say this. Whether you agree with me or not, cool. But there's a lot of information missing from all of this. A lot. Now, first of all, and I'm just telling you again, I'm telling you this from a different perspective than probably majority of you are going to be able to understand because you're not in this business. You don't look at credit profiles and stuff like that. You have no clue. So I would say this. I got a couple opinions on this. I hate when reports like this come out because you don't know all the factors. You don't know everything. Every lender has their own overlays, right? So conventional mortgages, Fannie, Freddie, are sold typically to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. They have their own guidelines. And if you're part of the academy, or you've been in my webinars, I kind of break all of this down and I show you guys the guidelines and stuff like that. But every lender has their own guidelines or overlays on top of what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines are. And those overlays is to protect that lender and risk management, right? Now, what I hear someone say they were pre-approved and then 2 weeks before closing, the loan got declined. My first train of thought, and Loan officers and realtors alike, please feel free to chime in. My first train of thought is that loan officer who pre-approved them did not pre-approve them properly, especially if they were self-employed. Now, he said in the video that he was a CEO of his company and he made a good income. Well, I don't know how his income was paid. Was he on a W-2? Like, I don't know. So there's a lot of factors. You see what I'm saying? Like, so when I look at these things, I say to myself, damn, how was he getting paid? Because I know self-employed is very difficult sometimes for loan officers to actually review their tax returns properly and get the right income. A lot of loan officers make mistakes in the initial pre-approval stage and issue pre-approvals that are not accurate. And although majority of the lenders out here use what's called desktop underwriting, DU, or LP, lender prospector, which is for conventional loans, which is basically the automated underwriting system. Even if that loan officer put in the information and they submitted it to DU or LP, DU or LP doesn't know, the borrower didn't look at the financials. It's only reading the information that was put on a 1003, aka loan application, that loan officer submitted, right? So even if that loan officer at Navy Federal got a DU approval, that doesn't mean that it was done properly, right? Produced by yours truly, but why another bank approved? I'm going to get there. Give me a second. I'm trying to bring you there so you guys can understand. So we're going to talk about that one specific scenario because this is the only out of all the situations, because we see the headlines, the not over 50% black borrowers for conventional loans. We don't know all the details, so I can't analyze all the details. I only could analyze the video that's seen in this borrower. And shout out to my brother for getting his house. Like, we love to hear that. But I'm going to get to your question produced by yours truly in a second, but why did another bank approve it? And I'm going to tell you why in a second. Now, when that loan is once that borrower gets a contract of sale, now the loan gets submitted into underwriting. And now when you're going through the underwriting process, it could have been the loan. So now an underwriter is going to make one of three decisions: approved with conditions, declined, or suspended, right? Or suspended. Now, I'm not sure Navy Federal's underwriting procedures, so I don't know if they're going to suspend the loan or not. I'm pretty sure I'm going to assume that they will, because most lenders will suspend. When they suspend the loan, it's basically saying, hey, we need more information. The underwriter's telling the loan officer, we need more information, right? And then now the loan officer goes back to the borrower and say, hey, get me X, Y, and Z. Underwriter wants to see this. And that could be a back and forth. Just because the borrower says, here, loan officer, here's the information that the underwriter wants, doesn't mean that the underwriter is going to accept it. So it could be a back and forth until the underwriter is comfortable with whatever the conditions are, right? Now, if that loan got declined 2 weeks prior to that gentleman closing, and again, this is all hypothetical. I am just assuming, I'm taking what you call an educated guess, right? Because I do this, right? I'm guessing or assuming that whatever conditions was needed, it didn't satisfy underwriting, and that's why the loan was probably declined. Now, on that decline letter, you heard him say, it said obsessive obligations towards income or something like that. So when I hear something like that, as a loan officer, right, I'm hearing, wait a minute, they probably did their income wrong, and the DTI was probably too high based off the final income calculation that the underwriter came up with. Now, again, all banks have overlays, especially credit unions and big retail banks. And yes, that means the DTI was high. Correct, Vaughn Jones. All right. So what happens is, now you heard him say that he went to another bank, and he probably went to a mortgage company like someone like myself, who's a mortgage banker and broker all in one. All we do is mortgages all day long. We don't do checking, savings, auto loans, none of the other stuff, right? So what probably happened is, and someone asked, let me go back up to the comment because I'm going to put you back on the screen again. You said, produced by Jay, but why another bank approved it? It's because they probably didn't have any overlays with their DTI requirements and could approve a loan at a higher debt to income ratio. Now, again, I don't know what Navy Federal conventional loans, I don't know if this was a jumbo loan or conforming loan amount. We don't know none of that, right? So I don't know what was Navy Federal's guidelines at that point in 2022 when this loan application was submitted of what their maximum debt to income ratio. Now remember, it's a front end ratio and a back end ratio. It's not just a back end. So typically on a conventional loan, a lot of the big lenders don't want to go over, I would probably say 33, 34% on the front end and probably like 42% on the back end. Now, mortgage companies like myself, we can go a lot higher. I can go up on the back end, 45, 46% on the debt to income ratio and damn near 38, 39 on the front end, right? So that gives me a little bit more leeway and flexibility compared to a big bank or a credit union because they are going to underwrite more conservatively. Where a mortgage company like myself, or like the mortgage company that this gentleman went and probably got his loan done with, and I'm assuming he went to another mortgage company because the realtors, me knowing realtors, probably said, nope, you can't go to this bank, go to this bank. You still want to close, use my guy over here, he'll get it done. Typically, us loan officers, and I'm going to keep it honest with you, we love when credit unions and big banks fumble the ball because it gives us an opportunity to pick up the business and shine, right? Now, a few of you asking in the comments, what shouldn't this been calculated beforehand? Yes, it should have, but not every loan officer is built alike. Not every loan officer is built alike. So let's please understand that just because you get a pre-approval letter, ladies and gentlemen, it does not mean that you're going to get approved for the mortgage once you get a contract. A pre-approval is not worth the paper it's printed on because a loan officer does not make an underwriting decision on behalf of a bank. So this is why it is, I encourage you guys, if you are going to out here, especially going into 2024, if you are going to get in the market to buy a house, make sure that you, first of all, learn as much as you can about the mortgage process and the programs and et cetera, but also make sure you're working with a lender that can submit your loan application to underwriting up front and get you a conditional pre-approval letter up front that's fully underwritten in the very beginning. So that way, when you get into contract, you don't run into these issues of being declined. Okay? So now, again, we're talking about the gentleman that CNN put on TV, the black man. I can't remember his name. That was telling his story. Successful, had more than 20% down. So the average person would think, yo, this is a prime time candidate to go to a credit union or a big bank. But if you're self-employed, it could get a little tricky, man. It could get a little tricky. I ain't gonna hold you up. So again, this is not me defending Navy Federal or any of these freaking banks. I'm just giving you guys the real deal. I'm not gonna be like some of these internet people that's just gonna sit here and just conspiracy theories right away, right? And Vicki Robinson Academy is $99 right now, one time membership free. Go to mgmortgageacademy.com. Okay, so now let's get into the bigger grand scheme of things. When you start seeing these type of numbers out here, let me go to this article. Fuck it. Where's the article at? What the hell? Why is it on Verizon? How a fucking Verizon ad come up?
For your husband, iPhone 15 Pro. Carolers.
Nobody said Verizon, nothing. So they said, let me see where I find that. Where is that? Da-da-da-da. See, when they say Navy Federal approved a slightly higher percentage of applications from white borrowers making less than $62,000 a year than it did from black borrowers making. Let me put this on the screen. Let me show y'all this. All right. And pardon this ad. I don't know how to get rid of this ad right here. But it says, look at this right here. The disparity remains even among white and black applicants who had a similar incomes and debt-to-income ratios. Notably, Navy Federal approved a slightly higher percentage of applications from white borrowers making less than $62,000 a year than it did from black borrowers making $140K or more. You see, for me, how I'm looking at this is okay. Who has similar incomes and similar debt-to-income ratios. Okay. But where's these properties located? What type of properties were they? What type of borrowers was these making $140K or more? Like, there's more information I need. Was these people self-employed? Were they commission-based? Did they get bonuses? Because if you're looking at in the grand scheme of things, a lot of this income that people think they make, they do make it in real life, but from an underwriting standpoint, you might not count all that income that someone is making because if it's not consistent for 2 years. So on paper, you might say I make $140,000, but from a mortgage perspective, we might not look at you as $140,000. We might say, oh, you only make $120 because that bonus check that you receive has declined this year from the previous years, so it's unstable, right? Like, I'm just giving you guys examples. So when I see stuff like this, it's like, damn, I need more information. I need more information. Right? I need more information. Tell me more. Right? Now it says a deeper statistical analysis performed by CNN found that black applicants to Navy Federal were more than likely, were more than twice as likely to be declined as white applicants, even when more than a dozen different variables, including income, debt-to-income ratio, property value, down payment, neighborhood characteristics, were the same. Now, this sounds just like everyday redlining to me. See, when you say something like this, see that first paragraph, I wish you just didn't even put this out with the income and everything like that. You see, for me, leave that shit out of it because we don't know. Income is subjective to the underwriters. So I don't know. Self-employed, this, that, and third, I don't know what your income is because it's the way Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac makes us look and view at people is different. It's like even like traveling nurses. Traveling nurses make a bag, but they probably get declined more than everybody because it's inconsistent. It's 1099s here, it's W-2s here, it's 3 months at a job here, 6 months at a job here, don't work for 4 months. Like, but they still make $200,000 a year and they have a hard time getting declined. So it's a lot of variables. That's all I'm trying to say to you guys, right? When you're looking at the income, don't read too much into that. But when you go to a deeper statistical analysis, when you're saying that black folks are more than twice as likely to be denied as white applicants, even when more than a dozen different variables, including income, debt-to-income ratio, property value, down payment percentage, and neighborhood characteristics were the same, that's where I have the problem with all these banks. Because this just sounds like modern day redlining. Now, as they said in the CNN report, credit scores wasn't disclosed for privacy reasons, right? So if these people applied and met all the same characteristics and had a 600 credit score, then okay, you don't meet the guidelines. And look, let's keep it a buck, yo. We got to keep that into consideration too. If people are just applying for these loans and then their credit is lower than they thought it was, and then that application get declined, I promise you, within that 50% of people who would decline, I promise you, some of the reasons had to be with credit scores. Even if they had income, even if the DTI itself wasn't high or whatever the case may be, even the down payment, they had the money. I promise you, if they had a 600 credit score trying to get a conventional loan or a 610 credit score, it will get declined. So that could be a part of the analysis too. So again, we got to take this all with a grain of salt. If you're gonna release this information, release what was the average credit scores of these applicants that got declined. Include that too. Because sometimes folks will look at like Credit Wise or like Credit Karma or FICO and all this stuff and like, oh, I got a 680 credit score, 660. But when we do that hard pull, pause, that credit score is going to be lower. And look, every lender has their own overlays on what credit scores they want to accept. And it's their right to do so. So and again, I don't know Navy Federal's guidelines, so I can't tell you what their guidelines are today in 2023 or last year because I really don't know and I really don't care because I don't do loans through Navy Federal, right? But if they said their conventional minimum, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is 620, but if Navy Federal is saying we won't accept any conventional loans under 660, right? And people still apply for a loan thinking they might be above 660 and they're below 660, that could be a reason they got declined too. So I don't know. But when I look at all these other characteristics that they're breaking down, and there's dozen variables, which it doesn't mention one of the variables is not credit score. It says income, debt to income ratio, property value, down payment percentage, and neighborhood characteristics were the same. Now, if we take credit score out of it and black folks are twice as likely to be denied by Navy Federal, then shame on Navy Federal. And shame on all these fucking lenders that are declining black applicants at a high level. And look, guys, this ain't nothing new. Navy Federal ain't the first and the only bank that does this. Let's call it a spade a spade. Let's call a spade a spade. They are not the only lender who are out here declining black people. But we would never know. First of all, let's keep it a buck on this too. Let's keep it a buck. CFPB is going to investigate. If they find wrongdoing, what they going to do? Give them a fine. They're going to pay the fine. They're going to keep lending. Like, look how many times Wells Fargo has been fined in the past 5 years for something in the mortgage business and discriminating and all this other stuff. And this bank is still able and willing to do business. They can still do business. No problem. Look at all of these banks. Go do your research. Google it yourself. Look, matter of fact, look at this. Lenders who decline most black applicants. I just put this in as a Google search, right? You got articles from 2021, right? Here, Wells Fargo rejected half its black applicants and mortgages. This is from 2022 from Bloomberg. Look at this one. Largest lenders deny home loans for black applicants. Let's look at this scene, whatever this is. Look, largest lenders deny home loans for black applicants up to 3 times more often than whites. So this ain't the first and this won't be the last. This was the Charlotte report, right? So you could just put this in and you're going to see all of this. This is from 2020. Lender denying mortgages. CNBC. Look at this. A troubling tale of black man trying to refinance his mortgage. Black applicants are rejecting mortgage refinance loans at much higher rates than whites. Come on. This ain't nothing new, y'all. This ain't nothing new. So why are we surprised here? You can just Google this stuff for yourself. Right? I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all. So that's why when I even put out that post, I said in my caption, I'm not surprised at all. But what are your thoughts? I'm in this business and I'm telling you, I'm not surprised by this. Now, I also said in that caption, and I'm just be fair because I'm going to play devil's advocate. And I'm going to ask everybody here right now the same question I asked on my caption. Do you think Navy Federal and all these banks are blatantly discriminating against black folks? Or could it be some black applicants are just not as prepared to apply for a loan? When I say prepared, meaning they ain't got their credit together. Maybe their income ain't right. Maybe their documentation is all over the place. Maybe they have inconsistent history, right? Overall, what do you think? I think it could be a combination of two, but I think it's a combination of two. Personally, let me not even fucking be political correct with none of y'all right now. I'm going to tell you what it is. I think it's a combination of two. And if you don't like it, oh well. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I speak to people every day, all day. 90% of y'all have no clue what the hell is going on, but you want to buy a house. You don't take the time to learn. You don't take the time to save. You don't take the time to pay your bills on time, right? So I think it's a combination of the two. Call a spade a spade. Now, do I think we still have a lot of redlining and discrimination and racism in the real estate mortgage industry? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, on all levels. From loan officers to underwriters to home inspectors to appraisers to title companies. It goes down the line. It goes down the line. But we also got to take accountability for ourselves too. Some of y'all ain't got your shit together. I'm sorry. Somebody got to say it. Some of y'all ain't got it together. Unpopular opinion. I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't want to hear it. But I'm just telling you what I feel is it. Because I see it. I see it. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, what's going on here? Right? A lot of these banks, and look, let's keep it real. And I'm going to keep it, and I've been saying this for years. Look, if you are not, and I tell you guys, people ask me all the time, Matt, where can I go and get a home equity line of credit? Go to your local credit union. They're great for home equity line of credits. Where can you go get an auto loan? Go to your local credit union or your big bank. Matt, what's the best place to go get a mortgage from? If you are not buying $1 million plus home and you're not an A-paper borrower, then I personally feel like you are wasting your time going to any big bank or a credit union. And when I say 8-paper, I'm talking about 7 in this market right now with the credit score criteria. If you're not 720, 740 or higher, your W-2s are solid, your DTI is low, and you're getting a jumbo mortgage, maybe $1 million, $2 million loan, you're going to get the best interest rate out of those big banks or credit unions, hands down. Hands down. But if you buying, or if you got to buy like a condo, because sometimes condos and co-ops, especially here in New York, you ain't got no choice but to go to the big banks because they got the approval list on lock. But other than that, if you're a first-time home buyer someone like that and you buying a regular house, no. I personally feel like you should go to a mortgage company or a mortgage broker. Me personally. And I am someone who worked for Chase for almost 4 years. I did a little stint at Wells Fargo too, and I had to get up out of here, right? I've worked for corporate banks. I worked for mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers. I worked for the three-headed monster, pause, in my 20 years. I know what the hell I'm talking about because I've been on each side of the fence. I can tell you when I worked for the big box lenders, when that borrower, that FHA borrower come in the door, oh, you ain't going to get a good deal with me. You're better off going to the broker. And I used to tell people this all the time. Go to the broker. If I got that $1.5 million purchase and you want that A paper pricing, oh, you need to come over here because these mortgage bankers and brokers can't touch me. I'm going to smoke them when it comes to rates. Hands down. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this. And I always tell people, if you are going to buy a house, I personally feel like you should be working with a mortgage company, a mortgage bank, or a mortgage broker. Someone who specializes in mortgages, 100% mortgages. That's it. Because those folks, those underwriters, those loan officers are dialed in. All they do is loans. They're training all the time. We got income training. We're working with borrowers who have quote unquote hair on it, right? We're doing this all the time. Most loan officers who work for the big bank, they're not dealing with this type of clientele. They're dealing with it depending on where they're located. Let me be fair. If you're located certain places, certain areas, high cost areas, you got a lot of jumbo. So you're going to be rocking and rolling with the jumbo A paper deals, those full doc deals, right? But you're going to go through hell. And this is why the dude on CNN who they highlighted, he went through Navy Federal, got declined 2 weeks before closing, and went to probably a mortgage company or mortgage broker and got that deal done because this is what we do. We close loans. Yes, Brandon, you're right. Most brokers cannot be out NFQ on no down payment loan or no PMI on all the loans. I agree with that. So pick your poison. If you want to go and get that no down payment loan or no PMI, you know what you're going to deal with. You're going to probably deal with a loan officer who ain't really got their ish together, who probably don't know the game like that, right? So there's pros and cons to everything. You got to deal with it. You got to deal with it. All right. I said my opinion on this. Now, let me wrap up by saying the last thing, because a few of y'all are getting active in these comments, and I'm going to bring some of y'all in on the show today. So I'm going to put that link to come on the show in a few. And living in South Florida, you active. So you keep telling me you active duty. Thank you for your service. I want you to come on first. But let me say this so I can make sure that my point is clear. I am not defending no Navy, Federal, or any of these banks who decline black mortgage applicants. I am a homeownership advocate, especially for the black and brown community. I've been active on the social media for 4+ years, and it's cost me a lot of headache and issues on the back end of things from a compliance perspective that you guys have no clue about, and I don't care because I understand what I'm doing is needed, right? It's needed. So for me, I understand when I see these reports, I understand it's very vague. And I understand there's a lot of information that they're not putting in there. And I understand a lot of this is clickbait. But ultimately, it is true. It is happening. There's still redlining, there's still discrimination, and it's despicable. And it's not just from lenders. It's from everybody who works in this industry. Realtors could be freaking racist and discriminate against you. The appraisers, the home inspectors. Hell, even these contractors are con artists, right? You get it from all sides of the fence. And when you black or brown, especially black, we've been going through this forever in America. It's time for this shit to change. But how we make it change is from what we're doing right now is we educate ourselves and we're taking the time to learn about the mortgage process. We learn about the real estate game. We understand everything that we need to know before we go out here and try to execute, because it's our responsibility. This ain't 1968 when the fair lending passed. We got information and technology right now. Yes, our parents and our grandparents didn't know about home ownership. A lot of them. I know mine didn't. They didn't teach us about home ownership and credit, but guess what? Guess what? We have the information right here on our phones right now. We got books that gives you the information. Take the time to learn the shit. And make sure you choose the right lender. All right? Very important, because I always tell y'all, not every lender is built alike. I say that over time and time. Not every loan officer is built alike. Now, before I start letting y'all come on here, can y'all take a second right now? We got over 300 people here watching this live. Throw some gems in the comments and like the video, please. Like, let's be real, man. Like the video. Like the video. Like the video. All right, this is what I'm going to do. Here's the link. The link is in the chat right now. If you're going to come on the show, have something good to talk about. I want to hear your opinion. I'll make sure you got good lighting, some headphones in, preferably, so there's no feedback. Make sure you're on some Wi-Fi. And let's go. Let's get your opinion on here. Let me see what we got going on. So link is in the chat if you want to join the show live. I'm going to put the link in the chat right now if you want to join the show live. And if you got your opinion, good, bad, or the ugly. And look, let me tell you this, and I'm going to say this again to y'all. People get declined every day, B, for various different reasons. For various different reasons, people get declined. Things happen in the process that is out of sometimes the control of the bank. But I will say, there's always another lender out there that might still do the deal. So you got to know how to move and shake and maneuver, right? You got to know what banks are good for what. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, yo, this credit union has been great to me. I've never had an issue. I know plenty of people that swear up and down by their credit unions. That is great. Amazing. There's people that swear up and down about even the Wells Fargos and the Chases and all these banks, right? And I have no problem with none of them. I see it for what it is. But everybody's going to have a different situation. It's like I tell people all the time, getting a mortgage is unique to you. It's like your fingerprint, right? Your fingerprint. Nobody got the same fingerprint as you. So everybody's circumstance is going to be different. People get declined. I mean, shit, we have deals sometimes that we can't get done. And when we can't get them done, I'm like, how the hell we didn't get this done? And then they go someone else, they get it done. Loan officers, we love to clean up the mess because all the paperwork, you already have everything. And once you tell me the story, I already know what it is. I can clean it up real quick, so it's easier. All right, living in South Florida. Let me add you to the show. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, MG? Good
What's,
afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, bro. What's your name? Where you from, man? Well, you're from South Florida.
Definitely. I'm from South Florida. My name is Michael Valencia. I'm one of the top realtors down here in Florida. Like I mentioned, I'm active duty, 17 years of active duty. And I love what you do, how you teach people to house hack. You teach people how to get their finances straight, right? And that's literally the same way that I teach all the enlisted members that I work with. That's how I started. I currently own 7 properties around the country. And when I'm talking to some of my best friends back home in New Jersey, where I grew up, one of my best friends is Haitian. And I'm Colombian. I grew up in South America. Came from a single parent household, and basically learned how to use the VA loan to my benefit. And now I'm teaching that same thing to all the military members. And when me and him start to catch up and we go down this conversation of racism and the state of it that our country's in today, he likes to try to play the victim card a lot. And I remind him where I came from and how I started. And same thing, he reacted to this article and not in the way that I would have hoped that he did. And the same thing that you covered today is what I told him. We don't know all the details of the story. We don't know exactly what these people had in their credit history. You know, if there was any type of repossessions or anything like that will have a person not qualify for the loan a week or two before closing. I've seen all sorts of different stories. So I really love that you covered that and you're telling people to also take accountability for themselves and not to be triggered by such a headline because we don't know all the details, you know? So I commend you for it, man. Great job. Great job.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for your service, brother. We definitely appreciate you for that. And thank you for coming on the show and giving your insight too, man. And look, you in the business, you know how it is, man. Anything can happen. And this is why I always tell my borrowers and my clients, I say, look, don't get emotional and don't get happy. Until you at that closing table signing that piece of paper, anything can happen during this process where your deal can die, right? And it could be totally out of your control. And sometimes there are things that happen that are self-inflicted by the borrower themselves, right? They might be running their credit excessively, and then before closing, we have to repull your credit score. Man, I've had people quit their jobs 2 days before closing. I've had people buy cars, open up new furniture accounts and stuff like this right before closing, right? And although you
it
tell
throws
them
the
to do so,
DTI
that
out of the
DTI goes out
equation.
of whack, right?
Yeah.
Like it goes out of whack. Like I've seen so many different things that are self-inflicted declines that when I see headlines like this, it gives me cause to pause because I don't know what all the details and the circumstances are within that one person's applications. Now, if they're declining thousands of people, yes, it is alarming, absolutely,
Of course.
and it should be investigated. But you got to go through every loan application and look at everything and see, okay, where could this have worked up? And was this really discrimination or was this just they didn't qualify according to that bank's guidelines? So I think it could be a mixture of so many different things that we will really never know. But here's the thing, right? And this is what I'm saying. Even if CFPB comes out and says, you know what, they were unfair with declining this many black applicants, we're going to fine them $10 billion or $1 billion or $500 million. That's all they're going to do is just get a fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
A slap on the wrist, and they're going to be able to continue to do the bullshit. like that. It's really it's a problem, but there's really no solution behind the regulators for them. Like the solution is like, oh, we're going to find the money. Well, that's not good enough because clearly they have the money to pay for it.
Yeah. I think one of the things that people should realize while we have their attention on this is now that it's coming from a realtor perspective and not so much from a lender perspective, people don't really understand the value that you guys bring as mortgage brokers compared to even credit unions and big banks. Because the same way that I like to operate my business, where I'm problem solving, you and I both know every single transaction is different. It's going to have an issue, right? Whether it's title on the lending side, on the borrower side, on even the seller side, because it's a probate, whatever it may be, every transaction is different, right? When you're dealing with a big bank, when you're dealing with a credit union, it's just a person behind the desk that's a salary worker, right? They're not really giving it their all. When it's somebody like a mortgage broker whose income actually depends on that transaction, I feel like there's a lot more skin in the game, and you guys really care. Like there's a few of you that really care about people, especially veterans, and they'll go out of their way to make the deal work, you know? So
No,
for the audience that's watching, please understand the difference between the big banks and the mortgage broker.
I agree with that, right? And look, I know a lot of great loan officers that work for big banks, so I don't want to discount them or devalue those folks as well, because I have some friends that are just they're killers, man. They get shit done, right?
I love that.
But they're part of that elite category right? And I would say a good portion or, majority of the loan officers that work in these institutions, like you said, they're getting paid a salary for the most part, right? Their income is not dependent on a transaction closing or not, right? And if they are getting a commission, it's so small and little, it's about the volume, right? They have to do 20, 30 transactions because that's the way the comp is set up so the bank can make more money, right? And then
Yep.
they have to do the volume. So it's not a matter of like, yo, I'm going to make sure and treat everything like it's only one deal. No, they have to hit certain numbers and thresholds and tiers in order to make more and more money because their commission is so low. So I agree with you. And this is why I said earlier, if you are going to get a mortgage, I think your first choice, especially if you're not buying $1 million home, you're super A paper type of borrower, you got assets, credit, you need $2 million loan and you want the lowest rate, go to the big banks of the credit union. Those are perfect for it. Hell, if I go buy a $2-3 million mansion, I'm an A paper borrower. I'm not going to even do my own loan. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I know where I'm going to go
Yeah.
to get the better deal, right? But if I'm buying just
Absolutely.
a regular house or a multifamily or a townhouse or something like that, I'm going to speak with a mortgage banker or a mortgage broker because I understand that they're going to be more experienced and more well-versed in underwriting and making sure that my deal gets to the closing table because like a realtor, they're going to make a commission and they want to get that deal closed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, and by the way, I bank with Navy Federal. My business account is set up with Navy Federal. I must say, as somebody who actually uses them day in day out, phenomenal credit union. I cannot speak badly about them. I used USAA in the past, and it's honestly night and day in terms of service. So if anybody has any issues, everybody's wondering how they actually very reputable company.
Yeah, from a bank's perspective, like I said, checking, savings, and all that good stuff, your business accounts, yeah, credit unions, the big boys all day long, right? But we're
Yeah.
talking specifically mortgages. No, I want to go to a bank that only does mortgages because I want to make sure that they know what they're doing. Because hell,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm self-employed, so it's complex. So I need to make sure, like, hey, you know how to underwrite me properly, so that way I don't have these issues. And not all these big banks
Yeah.
have these issues. But I
Yeah, man.
thank you for coming on the
Well,
show today, my brother. Appreciate you.
no, I appreciate you. Thank you for teaching everyone. I really hope that the world starts to kind of see the light and realize that the deals are still out there. I mean, down here in South Florida, we haven't really had market correction. That I was able to buy down the rate, or I got the seller to buy down the rate all the way down to 4.9%. So right now is the time to negotiate. People take advantage of it. If a property's sitting on the market, you start asking questions and start going after it. You can definitely negotiate a lot of deals right now. So take advantage.
Love it, brother. Living in South Florida, man. Thank you for coming to the channel today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
All right, let's get another guy on here. We got OC. OC, what's going on, OC?
Going on? What's going on? Thank you for having me, man.
Alive and blessed, man. Where you from?
I'm from Jersey, born and raised, so not too far from you. I know you're out in NY, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
So
So talk
yeah, so
about
I
your
just wanted to get
experience.
on here because
You had experience with Navy Federal?
yeah, so yeah, well, like the last gentleman, I'm also a Navy veteran myself. I served for a few years, was out in Seattle, came back to New Jersey just recently, back in 2019, and I actually purchased a house with Navy Federal. Now, full disclosure, I also worked for Navy Federal as well after the military, specifically mortgage. So I have a lot of insight with this. And like you, I've also worked for Chase and Wells Fargo in the mortgage. I worked for Wells Fargo for like 10 years overall. We know their story. Obviously, they've had a lot of a lot of issues as well. But when it comes to mortgage, I know when it comes to Navy Federal, they are very conservative. And just like you, when I would go through it, doesn't matter what race, white, black, we would decline some loans that I would sit there and think like, man, when I was back at Wells, that's a done deal, right? Because like you said, those overlays, the conservatism, they're new to the mortgage game, right? That's not something that they've been doing heavily for many, many years. They're new to this, so they're scared. and they're very conservative. And unfortunately, that's going to affect those Black communities more than the white communities for some of those reasons, like you said before, because I deal with a lot of Black folk out here in the Philadelphia area, and a lot of their stuff is properly set up, right? Their income is good. They've been at their job for a while, but there's maybe a couple things here and there that just are not where they're supposed to be. Where when they go to another lender, they're going to get approved. But Navy Federal is very, very picky in that regard. And I just wanted to make sure because the article came out, had all my boys hitting me up. Yo, man, what's going on? Look at your bank. This is ridiculous. And, I think the first thing they're thinking is that there's somebody behind the scenes, like an underwriter, just seeing somebody mark off, Black on the HMDA, and they're declining that loan. When you and me both know that there's way too many people touching each and every loan, from the loan officer to processor to underwriters to assistants to supervisors to people who, after the loan even gets declined, there's people that go and review each declined loan to make sure it's actually declined, right? That we didn't miss something. So that would mean that every single one of those people would have to be raised and in on it to say that, hey, look, this person is Black. And just me dealing with a lot of Black folk in this Philadelphia area, a lot of them do not even check off that they're Black on the HMDA because of that specific reason, right? They're scared if they check off Black, they're going to get declined. So they put do not want to answer, right? Right off the bat, do not want to answer. So I hate when these numbers come out with the HMDA stuff, and we all know the disparities there. That's not even a question. But if somebody marks off do not want to answer, then they get approved. Where do those numbers go, right? The numbers are going to be skewed, right? And I know this because Navy Federal, in regard to that, is a little bit more accurate because people trust Navy Federal, so they don't mind marking off Black or Latino as much. When I worked at Wells, none of them did that. Even when you go to Wells Fargo, they were always putting do not want to answer, right? Yep. Because they just knew Wells Fargo had the already bad reputation. I'm just doing this because I don't maybe have that much of a choice. Maybe my realtor said, suggested Wells Fargo, whatever the case may be. But I just wanted to kind of address that because I do feel, obviously, the disparities there. It needs to be fixed. Like you said, it's both, right? Because whatever the guidelines are set up to be, they are going to affect Black families just at a higher clip. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. And that can be, I think, fixed in a certain way. But that's going to have to come from each and every lender on how they're going to approach their way to how to fix that disparity. And then also, like you said, we need to do right by ourselves as well, right? Every time I get a Black customer client, I just feel a little bit more inclined to make sure I give them all the education. And if we can't get it done, I know some of the lenders or, like you said, brokers that I can send them to make sure that deal gets done. Or I just give them the education they need to maybe come back, circle back in 6 months. Now let's get that deal done, right? Because I feel like a lot of the times they just feel like they have their credit, their income, and then that's all they need. And they don't understand that each lender is going to have their own criteria, their own guidelines, their own overlays. So you need to, spread the wealth, apply it 3-4 lenders, brokers included, and keep all those things open. So,
look, I agree with everything you said, and I think one of the most, and this is what I was saying earlier, like, yo, it's so much variables with this. Like when, like your boy's hitting you up, you think my phone is doing? You know what I'm saying? Like people hitting me up, like, yo, what's going on? They declining Black people. I'm like, look, this is nothing new, right? I'm not surprised by this, but like you can't just automatically just say like they're racist or they're discriminating because there's so many people hands that touch a loan application. Like you said, loan officer, loan openers, loan closers, underwriters, auditors. Sometimes you got to go through a second set of underwriting. Like there's so many different like things that are happening, so many moving parts when it comes. And even if it's declined or approved, you still get audited, right? Every bank has compliance and auditors and all this other stuff. So it's like, yo, when I see this, I'm like, I have to take a cause to pause because I'm like, wait a minute. And where's all the information? Because everybody's situation is different of why they were declined or not. And, so that was a dope point that you brought up that I love. But it's, again, how do we fix this, right? And I think how we fix this, yes, we need real regulations for these banks so we can make sure from a higher level that they're not still discriminating against us. But I think we also have to hold ourselves accountable and get more prepared. Because look, you're in the business. How many times you speak to your brothers and sisters, they come up to do a loan and they're not prepared? Like, I'm pretty sure that happens often.
Often, and even with the numbers that they were showing, the people that are making 140K, a lot of the times I see that, man, and they're making 140K, and then 2 months prior, before the pre-approval, they just bought a 7 Series BMW. Like, that's the education that you need to know. Like, yes, you make good money, you make great money, right? Now, don't go and have to feel like you have to, splurge with this money and go buy this new range. Or if you're gonna do that after you buy the house. You know what I mean? Don't buy it 2 months prior to you trying to get the pre-approval, because I feel like that's where I see a guy. And look, I've denied many millionaires working at Navy Federal, right? Millionaires, not even black, right? They were like, Middle Eastern or whatever they were. And you know how it is when you decline somebody with money, man. Ooh, they get on you. What do you mean? I make all this money. You got to be out of your mind. Well, according to your taxes, I see a lot of tax write-offs here. So yeah, you make $1 million, but on your taxes, it shows you make 90K, right? So, and I feel like when people read these articles, like you said, they don't have the knowledge of being in the game and understanding the mortgage business, that they see these numbers and they just go, wow, this is ridiculous, which, like, again, I'm sure there is some underlying things that need to be addressed here, but you have to understand how these applications work, right? Because people are getting declined all the time. And again, when you're working with a very conservative lender like Navy Federal, it's going to be even worse, right? Because some of these, when I used to work at Wells, man, we were getting deals done, right? That's just and if there was any racism going on and the underwriters were seeing people that were black checked off and they're declining those loans, that loan officer's coming right back like, hold up, because they're eating off of these loans, right? The underwriter's getting paid a salary, but a lot of loan officers getting paid commission. So if I have a racist underwriter who's just declining a qualified borrower because they're black, I get that decline message first. I'm going to go ahead and go through everything, and I'm sure you've done the same too. I argue with all my underwriters. I don't care, and I
For
fight for
20
everybody.
years, bro, I've been arguing with underwriters.
I mean, look, and I have no problem. I go to bat for my people that I'm doing loans for, because if I feel like they're qualified and they're underwriters are coming back and saying no, sometimes it gets overturned, and it's not, again, not a white black thing. It's just that when you're on the gray area, the underwriter is going to lean more to the conservative side. But if I have a good case to make saying, hey, look, but he's been at this job for 17 years, yada, 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 we can get that thing overturned. So I feel like, it would have to be a lot of conspiracy going on here to make this thing actually work in the manner of which this article is trying to make it seem, right? So I just want to always encourage my people to make sure, just do your due diligence, do your research, get your education, apply to multiple lenders. Don't just go into one lender, you get a pre-approval. A pre-approval is just that, it's a pre-approval, it's not an approval, right? People get pre-approvals every day and they get declined afterwards. That gentleman in the video, self-employed, guaranteed that loan officer just did the pre-approval off of stated income, because at Navy Federal, you're not obligated to get their tax returns. It's the best practice, and it would be very smart to do so. Ask them for their tax returns, 2-3 years, right? But you don't have to do that. So when somebody does an application, they say I make 150, you don't have to verify that. Now, 2 weeks into it, now it has to be verified, and then winds up not being the case. Now they're declined. Right. So I think that's a big thing that people need to understand. Make sure you're doing your stuff, and ask your loan, if you know what needs to be done and you get a loan officer that, like you said, is just, they're not the best, you'll know. If you know what to do and you're talking to your loan officer and it sounds like they don't really know what they're doing, you're going to figure it out real quick. You call their supervisor, you ask for a different loan officer, somebody who's seasoned, who's been in the game for 10, 15, 20 years. Because if they've been in the game that long, they know what they're doing, or they should know what they're doing. So
I agree with everything you just said. So look, I want to pivot real quick, and I just want to make this clear. You are currently working at Navy Federal as a loan officer.
I am.
So bet. I'm glad you said that. I have a comment here on the screen, and I left it up for like the last 3 minutes, right? Because I've been seeing this type of comment going around, and I'm going to read it. Robert Hurt says, a scary percentage of declined applicants were running a play due to him 500 giving fraudulent advice on maximizing your loans from Navy Federal. You as a Navy Federal loan officer, OC, currently originating loans, do you think, because I've been seeing this comment for the past few days, I've been seeing internet videos, and for me, before you say something, let me say something to Robin and to everybody else. You guys are fucking make me sick. You make me sick to my stomach, right? Stupid shit like this, when I hear things like this, it just makes me want to slap y'all through this damn internet sometimes, because we are talking about real racial discrimination and practices that's been going on way before him 500 was even born. So the audacity of you people to try to merge the two, it just doesn't make no goddamn sense. Yo, it don't make no sense. Like, give me a fucking break on this. Like, everybody's running a play for the past 10, 20 years. We are just the ones now who are getting hip to the plays that white America has been running for decades. Okay? Now, when you're talking credit cards or business loans, that has nothing to do with the mortgage department. The mortgage department don't even talk to those departments. Those are two separate lines of business. Credit cards, auto loans, financial services. These are all LOBs. So when I see things like this, it just makes me realize that you guys don't really understand banking. The two departments don't commingle or talk even like that. Now, OC, you work at Navy Federal currently. Am I BSing or am I just talking blufferish? Like, what's your opinion on this?
No, that's all facts, because I mean I've been at Navy Federal, but I've been in finance since 2010, right? So I got a few years in the game. None of that stuff really goes hand in hand. And at the end of the day, when it comes to the mortgage side of it, especially Navy Federal, I would highly advise, because I mean Navy Federal has a ton of good programs, right? Not just because I work there, right? And I am a veteran. That's a big thing. So let's just get that out the way. Navy Federal is a military institution, right? Their main purpose is to help military folk, right? So if you are military, it's a very, very, very high chance you're gonna get approved for the VA loan. You're gonna get the best rate, all that good stuff, right? Now they just started opening up to, bigger branch. Not everybody's military, and now they're doing the mortgage thing. And again, they're conservative. If you come overly qualified, you're going to get approved. I don't care what your skin color is, overly qualified. But if you come in there and you're kind of, sort of, maybe qualified, I would do like what you said and go to a mortgage company or a mortgage broker, right? Because they're going to make your life a lot easier in getting what you need to get done, right? Or you can try both, do a pre-approval with both and see, whichever one takes you to where you need to go. But if you come overly qualified, right, the bank's not just, or the lender's not just going to look at your profile and say, okay, they got an 800 credit score, a 20% DTI, they've been at their job for 7 years, but they're black, decline. It's not going to happen. I can guarantee you, promise you that. It's not going to happen. But if you come in there with a 640, all right, and which is still approvable, right, but you're in a gray area with that 640, right? Now the underwriters, their antennas are up. They're going to go through your report. Not every credit score is the same. Not every 690 is the same. Some 690s have a lot less negative stuff on the actual report, right? So when they're going through that report, they're going to see, well, they have a history or a pattern of X, Y, and Z that they may not like, opposed to the next person with a 690 who maybe had bad credit back in the day. They just never got a bunch of credit cards to boost their score back up to where it needs to be. So that's why they're still at a 690 or whatever the case may be. All those criteria matter. Kind of like alluding to what you were saying before, there's so many different variables, it's not even funny. All right, this is mortgage. We're not talking auto loans. We're not talking credit
Credit
card. We're talking
cards.
the largest loan. We're talking the largest loan you're gonna get. They're trying to give you $1 million for this house up in North Jersey, and you can't just come there thinking like, oh, I got this little thing here and there, I'm good to go. No, not with this lender at least. Maybe some lenders will let you slide through, but we saw what happened in '08, right? When all these lenders were letting those people slide through, that's what happened. So, I would tell people to just come overqualified. If that's the case, look into all your options, because every lender has their thing that they do. Some, like you said, some lenders, their thing is multifamilies, man. You want to get a multifamily, you probably need to go to this lender. That's their thing. That's what they do very well. Condos, whatever the case may be. Navy Federal's thing is VA loans. So when we're doing this study or this article on conventional only, well, yeah, because I mean, they're very conservative in that light. And every bank has a disparity, but if a bank is more conservative on conventional, that disparity is just going to be larger by nature, just naturally. It's going to be larger, And again, I'm not saying it's the right thing because they should look into it on how they can, help some of these, I think, specific cities like Philadelphia, DC, Baltimore, figure out these cities, get certain programs where it's going to help these families get into homes a little bit easier. Wells Fargo did something like that, a few years back. I forget what the name of the program was, but some of these lenders will do it usually after they're prompted by an article like this that just came out, and then they'll circle back and bring out some program. But they should be doing this, I think, ahead of the game. But we'll see what happens with it.
I agree 100%, man. And look, and like I said, man, y'all gotta people, the internet, y'all gotta stop letting the internet tell y'all what to do. You gotta be an adult and kind of figure out things for yourself and do your own research and your own due diligence. And this whole running the play era and try to blame people, like when you try to tie people into that, it's just like, yo, come on, man. Like this is a issue that we've had in the Black community for decades, man. And when you're trying to be funny or put things out there, like it's not cool, man. Because this is the largest investment somebody will make. We ain't talking about no fucking credit cards here, man. Like we're talking about somebody trying to build generational wealth for themselves. Like you're gonna go through an underwriting process, and it's not about you can't run the play in the mortgage business right now. Running the play in the mortgage business during the wild cowboy years, when I first came into business, yeah, you could run the play all day long because there's no rules and regulations. But the gig is up. We are overregulated. We are overregulated in this thing. So just because a lot of influencers found ways to get credit cards and all this other stuff, whether you agree with it or not, whether it was fraudulent or not, whatever the case may be, I'm not here to debate none of that, right? Don't try to tie that in with what's happening here. Like, let's be responsible, man. Let's stop making jokes about shit. Like, shit is real, man. This is people's lives that people are really looking to have shelter for their families and their future. And people are getting declined, not because they tried to run the play with some credit cards or some shit. Like, no, bro. Like, let's stop the bullshit. And let's just keep it real. It's people are getting declined for various different reasons, whether it's racism and discrimination or just being not prepared properly, right? And we need to fix both of those issues and not try to do shortcuts or try to line people up and associate certain influencers with this because they would preaching certain things, right? Like, come on, man. Let's grow up here. Let's be adults. That's what I got to say about that. But OC, I appreciate you coming on and giving your insight. I agree with everything that you were saying, and I'm glad you cleared up a lot of things just from your POV as being someone who's originating currently at that bank. So I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for coming on, bro. Yeah, man. Who's this? Somebody else is in. Yo, turn your camera on. Amari or Mary, I can't really read your name, but turn your camera on. Amir, I think that's your name. You don't turn your camera on. You got 1, 2, 3 seconds. Going once, going twice. Oh, gotta go. All right. Okay, Amir, let's see if you're coming back here. I don't see no camera. Okay, you off? You got off the show again. Okay. Nah. All right. Let's see what else we got in here. What other comments we got going on in here? All right. I'm just throwing hints out there if y'all don't want to take it. Tiffany, what are you talking about in here? You said I'm just throwing hints, but if y'all don't want to take it, don't. What's the hints you're throwing out here? See, so you should have your bank ever ask you for your ID? Does your bank have a whole profile on your credit history? What is Tiffany in here talking about, y'all? It's too many comments. I can't even get to what she was saying. All right, let me put you on, my brother. I'm gonna put you on right now. What's going on, bro?
I'm doing good, and yourself? How you feeling?
Man, I'm alive and blessed, man. How you?
I hear that. I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Where you
But
from, bro?
I'm from Philadelphia.
Okay. Okay, shout out to Philly.
Yeah. But I applied for Navy Federal, and I went through a situation that was like that. It was real strange. So my income was good, my credit was good. Uh, I did the conventional loan where they was giving out like 100%, and you ain't had to put nothing down.
Yeah.
So like a week before my settlement, I'm
Yeah, you
you
breaking
know
up. You breaking
I'm
up.
good
You
with getting me.
breaking up.
So like a week before, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. You breaking up. You on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, let me turn the Wi-Fi off.
Okay. Kind of in the matrix. Kind of in the matrix here, my guy.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hang up and then just join back on. Let's see if it gets better like that. Join back on, because I definitely want to hear what you were saying. Somebody said he on dial up. Y'all stupid. All right, let me get back to Mia and then Danielle. I'm gonna have you on next. All right, bro. Talk to me.
All right, so look, right?
Hmm?
So I applied for the 100% loan or whatever. When you don't got to put nothing down, you gotta be owner occupied. So a week before settlement,
Damn,
I
bro.
I,
What's
I
going?
know my Navy Federal. They said they order in the title. So I'm like, why they cancel and order the title or
I didn't
whatever?
hear. We didn't hear nothing you
Dang,
said, bro. You
I
went
don't know
out.
what it is.
You went out again, bro. Like I don't think we heard was 100%, and then you blacked out again. Damn, and this sounded like it was gonna be a good story too, y'all. Yeah, you in the Matrix, man. This sounded like it was gonna be a good story, bro. Damn, bro. Let's try again. Let me get Daniel on. Daniel, you on live with MG? What's good, bro? Okay, we gotta let you go. You ain't talking, bro. All right, let's put you back on. I don't know what's going on. You know what? I don't know what's happening with y'all, but y'all sound is in videos suspect. What's going on here? All right, let's see. Let's try this one more last time. Nope, gotta go. Sorry, bro. Catch me on Instagram. All right, let's see if this works
Yeah.
for you, Daniel. There you go. I can hear you now.
All right.
Come on,
All right.
Daniel.
What's
Talk to
going on,
us.
boss? How you doing today?
I'm good, bro. How you?
I'm doing good. Hey, so my name's Daniel. I'm originally from Louisiana, but I live out here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I'm in my first house, and I got my loan through Navy Fed. And
Okay.
for me, it was a quick and seamless process. They told me straight up my whole profile was clean. I was told by friends and family, don't purchase anything major while you're going through the process. Don't buy no furniture. Don't get out and buy no cars. Don't do anything crazy while you're going through the process of buying your first home. So
Okay.
I'm kind of shocked at all this because to me, I'm like, everything just seemed like it was nice and easy for me the whole time.
I love that. I love to hear. First, congratulations on buying your first piece of property. Now, when you see
Thank
headlines
you.
like this, right? You being a black man, how does that make you feel? Being that you went through the process with
Honestly, I
Navy
was
Federal.
Honestly, I was shocked because a lot of people that I know are black and they all use Navy Federal. So, and they've never had any issues. So for me, I was like, did these people have something wrong with like their paperwork, the files? Did they do something in the process to like make them, I guess, get dropped from Navy Fed or, to not even be approved? Because like I said, everybody I know, they all went through Navy Fed and it was all like, hey, yeah, bro, just go through Navy Fed, do this, boom, 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 and you're going to get approved. And that's what I did.
Did you do a
So I guess the
conventional
people I
loan?
know, like I said, they did it. They did it.
Did you do
No,
a
VA loan.
conventional? You did a VA loan. Okay. So yeah, so most veterans
Yes,
and
sir, VA loan. So
most, and that's what I was saying earlier. Most people who go through Navy Fed, it's VA, right? It's really typically not a conventional
mhm.
mortgage. You know, they definitely can get a VA loan done. And it's probably, if you got your stuff together, I think any loan can get done smoothly, right? If you got
Mhm. Yeah,
all your ducks in a row. But I'm happy to hear that your
yeah.
process went through smooth and you didn't have the issues like this article is reporting.
Yeah, and I had easy contact with my loan officers, both of them. They're like, "Hey, anything you need, call me or text me. I'll be right there." And that's what I did. And I think the guy who I worked with, like the previous gentleman, was a black dude. I think his name was like Jerome or Malachi or something. And anytime I needed something, 5, 6 o'clock, I was able to shoot him a text, give him a call. He would answer my questions, and that was it through the whole process. And for me, I know like the previous guy who works for Navy Fed, they asked me for my tax returns, they asked me for pay stubs. I think they asked me for 3 months worth of pay stubs, 3 years worth of tax returns, and I gave them all that information. Like they told me, like, "Hey, you're good, man. Like you don't need anything." I guess my DTI wasn't that high because the only debt I had at the time, I had just bought a truck, and that was really it. And I banked with Navy Fed, and I got the call on through Navy Fed. So I guess they had like all my paperwork so they could see everything.
Mm. Love to hear it, man. Look, there's always going to be the good, bad, and ugly. Everybody's situation is different. And that's why I was saying earlier in this episode is that, I look at things differently because I'm in the business. So when I see
Hmm.
headlines, I see reports like this, I try to take it all with a grain of salt because I know there's three sides to every story. But I do believe all the banks, there's still racism and discrimination. There's still some redlining.
Oh
There's
yeah,
still a lot
of
of
course,
that that's going on. That will probably never go away, right? This country was
facts,
built on this stuff, right? And it probably will never go
facts.
away. But what can happen is brothers like yourself and sisters, like we all get prepared properly. So when we're going through these banks to get the capital that we need to purchase real estate or business loans, etc., we know exactly what we're doing. So that way we don't have issues. Because there's always going to be some issues, but we don't want to have a lot of issues and a lot of headache. You know what I'm saying?
And that's exactly what I do now. Anybody that I know that's buying a house or trying to go through the process, I tell them everything that I did. Hey, they ask for this paperwork, give it to them. They say I recommend to not make any purchases during the process. Don't buy anything. Hold off until the day you close on that house. Then go spend all that money because that's exactly what I did. December 20th, I'm about to make a year that I closed on this house that I'm in. So as soon as December 31st, 21st happened, I went and started buying furniture, everything.
Oh
So
yeah,
as soon as I signed that paperwork and I was done and they filed it off, I'm gonna go start spending money for my house.
yeah. Once you get it, once you sign that dotted line, the world is yours again. Go do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but up until then, I was just buying stuff. Or I wasn't buying stuff. I was going to stores. I want this. I want that. Just holding it out. So whenever everything was done, like I said, I just go and I just grabbed it all. So, and then, like I said, I have family members tell me the whole process because they had bought houses, but they had conventional loans, but they went with other banks. And matter of fact, how you said, my sister be buying stuff when they be going through your house payment or your house process. Don't buy anything because the smallest thing, like if you go buy like a couch, that can somehow, I guess, disrupt the whole process for you and cause you to get denied because I guess it throw off like the numbers or something. I don't know what it
Absolutely.
was. I'm still learning all this myself personally.
Yeah, so it's a lot that can throw your deal off, and that's why we try to tell you be still while you're going through the process, man. But happy 1 year anniversary, man,
At
and thank
least for me and Navy Fed, at least with the VA loan, it was seamless. It was
I'm glad you had a great experience, brother. Thank you
great.
for
Thank you, boss
thank you
man.
thank you for coming on the show and sharing your process and what happened with you and your experience with Navy Federal. I appreciate you coming on today. Shout out to my brother. All right, we're gonna take one more guess. His connection was bad. Somebody said he called in from a submarine. Yo, y'all are crazy. All right, let's bring on who's this? Deshaun, Vegas Realtor. What's up, Deshaun?
MG,
What's
what's
going
good, man? How you living?
Alive and blessed, bro. How you?
Oh man, I'm blessed. I'm blessed, man. And let me tell you, I actually just closed on a HELOC with Navy Federal probably like 4 months ago, man.
I love it. I love it. So how was your process with
Yeah,
Navy Federal? What you got? What you got to add to this conversation?
man. Truly, is I
Damn, where'd he go?
on this same property, I HELOC through him, and the lady name was Charlotte, right? Lady name was Charlotte was my loan officer. Smooth, smooth. The only thing that I will say is that it seemed like it took a little bit longer than it should have. But that's just in my opinion. This was my first HELOC that I ever did, but it was smooth though.
How long did it take?
About 3 months.
Oh yeah, that's way too long. That's way too
Wait,
long. Way too
I'm
long.
like, what's the hold up, man? They want this document, they want that document, but I mean, at the end of the day, we did get it squared away, and I actually got more than I thought I was gonna get. But I mean, the equity in Vegas is just incredible, though.
No, that's wonderful, man. Look, slow motion is better than no motion, is what I like to say. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it closed, it worked out. You got more money than you thought you was gonna get, so all is well. So that's why I tell people all the time: go to the credit union for those line of credits because they'll get it done and get you good terms. Right? You might go through a little pain to get it, but it'll get done.
That part. And let me just tell you, man. Now I can use it for whatever I want, man. You know, I'm actually getting another property right now, but that'll probably be the last time I use a bank to get a mortgage. To be honest, now I just use mortgage bankers, and that's really it.
Smart move. Smart move. Scale up, my brother. Scale up.
I appreciate it, man. I stay tuned in, man. I love the content for real, bro.
Man, thank you. I appreciate you tapping in, man. Drive safe, man. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Thank you for coming on the show, man. All right, man. So we took a couple callers. We took a couple callers today. I appreciate y'all joining the show. Some of y'all, when y'all want to join the show, man, please make sure y'all got your internet connections and everything right, please, because we want to have a good experience with you on Rants and Gems, okay? I love this. Again, thank you guys. Make sure you like this video. And in the comments, if you're watching this on the replay, what are your thoughts on this? Leave them in the comments. You guys go ahead. And yeah, that's all I got. This was a long live today. We on here for an hour, 40 minutes. We don't even do lives this long over here at Rants and Gems, but this was definitely worth extending the time that I normally do. So I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all join MG Mortgage Academy. A couple people's asked me about the $99 offer for the academy. That ends on 12/31, New Year's Eve, midnight. It's going away. So if you don't take advantage of the academy, it's on you because next year it will be $300 to $400 annual. The lifetime access will be done. It will be an annual fee moving forward. Okay? So go to mgmortgageacademy.com, mgmortgageacademy.com to take advantage and go pick up the books at mgbookstore.com. This sale also expires. The buy one, get one free expires New Year's Eve as well. All right? So that's all I got for you guys. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow me over on Instagram, MG the Mortgage Guy as well. And download Rants and Gems anywhere you listen to podcasts, audio. Download us, rate it 5 stars, and leave a review. All right? Until next time, which will probably be tomorrow, because I got some other shit to talk about too. But this was a great live. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.